Hey, everybody, it's the Rain Man. I want to introduce my guest, Christian Bannerman. Christian, how you doing today, brother?
Thank God, I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful day in San Diego.
That's right, sure is. I wanted to have Christian on. He and I become pretty good friends over the last year and a half when he and his family moved out from New York City. And last week we had he and his wife over for dinner, and we got to talking a little bit about Ghana, Africa, which is where Christian's from. And I figured, I don't know anything about Africa, and I'm sure a lot of people out there don't either. So what better way to learn than to talk to somebody who was born and raised in Ghana and then moved to the United States. So Christian, I appreciate it, man. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh man, Brian, thank you so much. You know, I walk and breathe Ghana, so you got nobody but the best in the house. You know what I mean? So yeah.
But let's start right. Give me a little bit of your background when you were born and then when you immigrated to the United States.
Absolutely. My name is Dr. Christian Bannerman. I was born and raised in Ghana, to be specific, the Ashanti region. This is the second largest city in Ghana, which is called Kumasi. And you know, shortly after that, you know, my parents weren't married. You know, my dad is from a very elite society in Ghana, and my mom not so much. And so this is my dad was in Kumasi working, and with his brother. My dad was a Greek economist.
Okay.
And he had met my mom in the bank, and they ended up hooking up, and I was born. Shortly after that, about 3 years later, because my dad was in Accra, which is where my dad's part of the family is from, my dad actually wanted to bring me to Accra. And I never knew the story until I got older, where my dad said, look, I'm going to take Frimpong, which is my Ghanaian name, to Accra to hang out for the weekend. And that was it. he never brought me back to my mom. And because my dad was from a prominent family and had money and had status, my mom didn't really have any that much power to fight him off. So long story short is I ended up growing up in Accra on the university campus with my father's brother, because I guess at the time my father was busy doing all types of stuff. So I ended up living on the University of Ghana, Legon campus. Grew up, went to school there. And shortly after high school, my mom had then moved to London, met my stepdad. They had moved to the United States, New York, to be specific. And so when I was done with high school, which is essentially most of the time boarding school, my mom, filed for me to come to New York.
So when did you get to the States?
So I got to New York in, I remember the date, November 12, 1992.
Okay, nice. And did you do boarding school in London?
I did boarding schools at the time were public schools.
Okay, interesting.
So, most of the guys during that era went to boarding school.
Got it. And Accra, that you keep referring to, is the main city along the coast of the Bay of Guinea. And Ghana, excuse me. It's the Bay of Ghana right there.
So they call it the Gulf of Guinea.
Gulf of Guinea, okay,
which is part of the Mediterranean Sea, which feeds into the Atlantic.
Okay.
It's all one big body of water. Yeah, depending on what geographic area you are. You could call it Gulf of Guinea, you could call it the Mediterranean Sea. But it's right on the coast, Accra.
Yeah. Okay. And so in the little bit of research I was doing before this conversation, so obviously the whole coast of West Africa, all the way down to South Africa, in the 1500s was explored and sort of taken over by the Dutch, and then the Dutch eventually ceded it to the English, and up until 1958. Is that
57?
57. Okay, yes. that was the independence.
Yes.
From England, from
United Kingdom. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
And so the UK had controlled Ghana basically from about 1600 to 1957, something along those.
Yes, the first guys that came in actually to the country were Portuguese.
Okay.
They were there for a very short time, and then after that the Dutch. And then after that, starting from, I think, the 1800s up until maybe 1901, till independence was the British.
Got it. And the other thing I was noticing, primarily in Ghana along the coast, both the Portuguese, the Dutch, I guess, and the British, but primarily the Portuguese and the Dutch, because they were the first ones there, built all sorts of fortresses along the coastline there that are still there today.
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny. I just took a friend of mine to Ghana and took him to Cape Coast Castle, where there were a lot of slaves, and you had the slaves left to come to the New World, and he couldn't believe the apartments that those guys built in the 1800s. I mean, the governor left his family in England,
right,
and had his own pad. I mean, it's up to this day, 400 years later, this place looks lavish.
Really?
You wouldn't believe how well these guys were living. But to your point, absolutely, a lot of those castles, slave castles and forts are still in existence.
Yeah.
Big historical pieces of the country, just to remind us of what the country has been through, both good and bad.
Yeah.
And they still exist.
Yeah, it's amazing. And primarily what the Dutch were looking for before the European slave trade started was gold. And that's still today, it's known for its gold mines as well as timber are your big natural resources.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. So Ghana is an irony, and not just Ghana, but West and Africa as a whole. It's a rich, poor country. So a rich, poor continent. It's the richest continent in the world, but we can't get our act together to try to convert those raw materials to riches. But Ghana specifically has gold. We have timber. We have manganese. We recently found oil.
Wow. Big
cocoa.
Okay.
Cocoa, chocolate. Yeah. So as far as natural resources, I mean, there's nothing short of natural resources in Ghana.
Yeah. All right. So Ghana in 57 gets its independence from England or from the UK. And that was kind of the first, you were one of the first countries to gain independence from the UK. And then all of a sudden it kind of trickled and they all started getting it. Was that a peaceful transition?
Right. So Ghana, actually, they mentioned Ghana as the model colony.
Sorry.
Yeah. Ghana.
Sorry about that little technical.
No worries. It's all good, man. we live in that age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ghana was the model colony during those times. Not only because of the peaceful transition that Ghana had through the independence, but also when the British attempted to gain certain areas with regions within within Ghana, the tribes at the time actually came together and tried to help each other to keep some of the land and to fight the British off. Right.
What are we talking, like in the early 1900s this happened?
No, this is right before,
gotcha.
Right before independence.
Got it. Okay.
So just the cohesiveness of the different tribes, by the way, Ghana has almost 15 to 20, probably even more different tribes where there are people in Ghana that would speak languages that I would never be able to speak or understand. Yeah. It's almost like a different country.
Yeah.
Okay. So before independence, it was noted as the model colony in terms of how we govern ourselves and how they were cohesive. But then the smooth transition just made it a beacon to the world and to the rest of not only the West African countries, but to the rest of Africa.
Yeah.
Ghana was the first sub-Saharan African country to attain its independence in 1957, March 6, 1957. And it was orchestrated by a gentleman by the name of Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah was a pan-Africanist who, studied in the United States. He went to Lincoln University. He was a Republican and a Democrat. He was Phi Beta Sigma. He was a Freemason. And so this man was a man who was ahead of his time because he had to learn everything he can to bring it back to Africa, because his whole thing was there needed to be an African personality. And if the continent of Africa could not be united, then the independence of Ghana meant nothing. Okay, so he was a socialist and a Democrat,
right,
at the same time. And because of that, he ruffled a few feathers, obviously the West, right?
Yeah.
So, but as far as your question goes, yes, the first independent country, the beacon for independence. And after that, he helped other countries to also attain independence.
Yeah, and that whole dream of pan-Africa, probably, I'm sure, still is a work in progress, because it seems like it's pretty disconnected right now. But one of the things I found fascinating, what you just talked about there, is that seems to be the model for most major figures. So, for instance, Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam studied in Paris. I think had spent some time in the United States, but he wanted to go back to Vietnam and combine it for one Vietnam. And so, almost the identical path that
Kwame Nkrumah was taking. Absolutely, absolutely. They say if you want to go far, you go together, and if you want to go fast, you go alone, right? Or, another proverb that we have in Ghana and Africa is, it's easy to break one broomstick, but when you have several broomsticks, it's almost impossible to break them. And I think that concept goes in line with what he was thinking. And although you just made a point that things seem to be scattered now, there is a big movement now.
Is there really?
Huge movement for Pan-Africanism.
And where is that? Is that starting in Ghana, or is that starting in South Africa, moving north? What's the?
There is different countries are pretty much, it's almost like the 60s with the civil rights. And, there tends to be movements in certain eras. And the era we are in now is economic independence and progress. Yeah. And because the West has been very good in narrating Africa so negatively, when you go on YouTube, there are several YouTube channels of Africans, made by Africans, portraying good stories and the developments that's going on not only in Ghana, but entire Africa, and trying to get the diaspora to come to Africa and help develop Africa. All these continents, Europe, United States, they all went through a developing phase. Right. And I think now, not only Ghana, but West Africa, there's actually a gentleman called Woody Meyer. If you go on YouTube, there's a gentleman called Woody Meyer who is changing. He's a chap that was born in the village, got first class and got a scholarship to China. And he was supposed to be an aeronautical engineer, finished first class. Yeah. And I guess in his attempt to try to get some Chinese ladies, began to do YouTube to be comical and to be funny so that he could get the ladies. And his parents just couldn't really understand why he would go through all these studies and end up doing YouTube. Yeah. So his dad called him and said, look, if you're going to do something with YouTube, fine. Because dad got angry for a while and said, look, why don't you change the narrative of Africa? So he moved back home and started doing these videos of Africa, not just Ghana, but Africa, and how people are living, and the fact that you really don't need to come out to the West to make it. Yeah. You could be in Africa and make it. Through him, it's got about 1 million views. And through him, a lot of people are moving back. Not only Africans, but the diaspora, they're moving back. They're able to create businesses that they wouldn't be able to create here in no way, shape, or form. But they're over there. And another thing that helped, or that's helping this movement, is the year of return. The present president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, signed it wasn't a treaty, but it was a move, sort of like a year of return for the diaspora to come back home. 400 years of slavery. Black people all over the world are invited to Ghana to come and see Ghana, to try to help develop. And I mean, we had stars. I mean, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all these guys, all these celebrities came, and in an effort to try to help promote Africa and the continent. So the movement is going on. It got died down for a little bit because of several coups that happened, military coups. But Ghana, again, the most educative class in Africa, went through a very smooth transition in terms of political power. And we've had, knock on wood, no issues. We've had free and fair elections. And I must say, you know, I'm proud. It's definitely not a perfect situation, but I'm proud of the democracy that is being shown in the country.
Do me a favor, just slide a little bit more.
Oh,
so so when you're looking at me, perfect. Just keep that in mind. That way,
all right.
We make sure we get all this.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. So,
by the way, this is amazing. This whiskey, I don't know what I poured, but it's flowing.
Well, it's one of my buddies who's in DC. One of his friends is the distiller, so it's a micro distillery in DC.
That's beautiful. I like to get a bottle, man. I like to support.
There you go. We'll discuss afterwards.
It's juicy.
All right. So what year were you born in Ghana?
I was born in 1974.
74. Okay.
I know I don't look it, but
all right. So you come from a very well-established family on your dad's side. Were they involved in the government during the transition, or?
Yes. So indirectly, the Bannermans. I'll give you a little history about the Bannermans and Ghana. James Bannerman was the original main figure that started the Bannerman clan in Ghana.
Okay.
His father was a military man from Scotland, and his mom was unknown locally. And James Bannerman was a rich merchant at the time, and he was actually ended up being the lieutenant governor of Accra, of the Gold Coast, not Accra, of the Gold Coast, which is now Ghana.
Okay.
And James Bannerman helped to orchestrate. And at the time, there are two main tribes in Ghana. And I don't want to offend anybody, but there are two major tribes. I mean, there's several others, but the Ga, which is where my dad is from, right by the coast.
Yep.
And the Ashanti, which is inland a little bit. Ashantis were very strong. They were warriors. And at one point in time, they wanted to conquer the land that the Ghans had. And so James Bannerman, even though he was British, half caste, but mostly British because dad was British, helped. He and they won because they had a lot more weapons and a lot more people. And the concession was he had captured, at the time that Shantis had the king, almost like the king of England. We had the Asante Hene. Asante Hene means king, and Asante means the area. So the king of Asante.
Yep.
And he captured his wife and two daughters. So the concession was he was going to marry the daughter of the Asante Hene.
Bannerman was.
Yes. He was going to marry the daughter
and merged both
and give back the wife, because he captured the wife and two daughters.
Yeah.
So he gave back the wife and then kept two daughters. One of the other daughters married into another family that's related, the Richter family. Okay. So that is the lineage of my family. Obviously, I could trace his children, and all of those guys were all trained in Europe and England. It was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So mostly lawyers, mostly doctors. And so up until, the independence, even though they weren't directly involved, they were part of the people that moved the country ahead. They were lawyers, they were doctors.
Yep.
One of my uncles was the first board certified obstetrics and gynecologist in Ghana. My grandmother was the first certified midwife in Ghana. So they were part of, progressing the country forward.
Yeah. No, that's great. All right. We're going to pause it right there real quick. So just slide your body so that you're in front of the slide to your left so that when you're talking to me, you're still talking into it.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm worried about is you start looking at me like this.
I see.
Yeah.
Got you.
So if you need to kind of slide that way.
Actually, I'll just hold it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
I just hold
it. That way we're making sure that it's
absolutely. Because my voice tends to be a little tenor.
I love it. All right. Get back into it here. All right. So obviously the Bannerman is a longstanding family within Ghana. And so bringing it back to the 50s, when we're getting ready to transfer over, obviously you obviously had family that were doctors, but I would assume you also had family who were in politics as well.
Yeah. We had lawyers, we had family members that went into politics. We had most of the Bannermans were either lawyers or doctors, which is kind of funny because in that era, I guess that was a profession that most people respected and most people felt like you needed. But we had pilots. Several industries had the name and were leaders.
Yeah.
Several Bannermans. Again, not directly involved with handing power over to Ghanaians, but once the power is handed over to Ghanaians, obviously that educative aspect of my family, they were involved in a lot of the progression of the country.
And so I would assume, and this is typical in a lot of these type of situations where, okay, the English they then leave, they had set up some infrastructure in terms of governance.
Yes.
But I would assume once they left, there was a little bit of a power vacuum. Because if I read correctly, in the 60s and the 70s, weren't there several coups and military dictatorships?
Yes. So you know this, and maybe you don't know this, but no country or developing country, well, even developed countries, acts isolated.
Yeah.
Right? The world superpower is always involved in anything that goes on in every country.
Overtly or covertly.
Both.
Yeah.
Right? Overtly, mostly diplomatic, covertly, mostly CIA. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not without saying that when you have I don't want to use the word paradigm, but when you have you want to promote democracy, and you have elements that make you fear. You're the superpower, and you have elements that make you fear that, look, there's a movement going on that might be slightly socialist.
Yeah.
And remember, the Cold War was going on too.
Yeah.
So when you have people that are also lacing with Cuba and with Russia, and even people within the country tend to start acting iffy.
Yep.
So even if there's no power vacuum, it's still a power struggle.
Yeah.
Because, obviously, if you have the British that are in the country and now they hand independence over to the Ghanaians, what's going to happen naturally? What's going to happen naturally is you're going to have people that say, well, I didn't really, smart people, I really like the British being here.
Yeah.
Because the Ghanaian city was 1-to-1 with the pound sterling, and we had a better life. And then you have other people that would say, well, I don't think so. I mean, these guys have come in and taken a lot of the things that we have in our country and exploited us. Yep. I think we could run our own affairs. So that argument in itself is enough to create a type of, no, it's absolutely fine. A type of struggle that is going to undermine the big picture of the situation. And I think a lot of times, in addition to other things that were going on in the country, people, you can't overthrow a president in a developing world without the help of an outside force.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You need the intelligence.
Yep.
And you need the manpower. You need to change people's minds. You need to influence people.
Yep.
So what is the biggest way to influence somebody? What is the biggest way? If I had to influence you,
Fear.
what is the fastest way?
Yeah, threatening.
Okay, that's one. Fear is one. But what would be the most?
Oh, money. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, you create a situation where you're able to supply people with money and the tools to overthrow. Unfortunately, Kwame Nkrumah they almost assassinated him almost 6 times.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and part of the reason also was when the British left, and we had issues with the way he was governing, especially people who were very pro-democratic, where they saw some socialist tendencies, and also the fact that he had almost planted into people's mind that he was going to be a one-term president, just like Mugabe. People started getting iffy and antsy. So I guess they said he got poisoned, by the CIA is what people are saying. He got poisoned by the CIA. They attempted to kill him 6 times. He never died. And then he ended up dying. I guess he got poisoned and whatnot. But that started the overthrow of several presidents, military regimes. And, anytime you have a military regime, that's never good, right? Because now we are not dealing with the democracy, and now the next person wants to overthrow him with a gun, and people die, and so that really set the country back. I'll say centuries. Yeah, centuries.
It's well, I mean, the CIA has been doing that shit for.
And hey, CIA, if you're listening to this, I wasn't there, I wasn't born. I'm not saying that you did it, but this is what I was told and I heard. As far as the facts, I don't know. Okay, but this is what I'm saying.
I mean, you could go down the list. Iran in the early 70s,
right,
up until even today, a few years ago, in Europe,
Gaddafi,
so,
and I mean,
so it's the grand chessboard of geopolitics.
Yes,
and
absolutely. And when you're a superpower, rightfully so, you want to have your hands in everything that's going on in the world, because the next thing you know, whatever you're not paying attention to is what's going to explode to come take over your power. So, I mean, if I was a superpower, I mean,
you do the same thing. And that's that's a direct threat to somebody who's trying to
absolutely
to make their own way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so all right. So this is and it's just I think that's the story of modern Africa right now. Is as soon as they decided to separate themselves from the superpower, the UK, they immediately look in the minds of the other powers that are battling as easy pickings, and so they're constantly going in there. And actually, that was one thing I wanted to ask you. I assume you still have family over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you go back often? Or?
I was just there I was just in Ghana in March. I have several projects going on in Ghana. I actually do a mission work.
Mm-hmm.
So I do mission work pretty much all over. But in 2018, we did some mission work there. My goal is to try to bring as many people as I can to show them how beautiful the country is.
Yeah.
But yes, I do have family still in Ghana, and I'm half. My heart is half here and half at home. It's where I was born, it's where I was raised, and there's no place like home.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy it. It's not perfect, but I enjoy it when I go back there. And one day, hopefully, I'll be able to bring you over there.
I mean, that's the way to do it, is go with somebody who knows the.
Yeah, I just took one of my frat brothers. I took him there in March.
Okay.
And it was a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Took him around. We visited almost 4 or 5 cities in 1 week. He was blown away. He had a really, really good time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fascinating. Now, your wife, is she also from Ghana?
Yeah. So my wife's parents were born and raised in Ghana.
Gotcha.
My wife was born in Germany, raised in Miami, but has been to Ghana many, many times. And then when we got married in 2010, we started going, try to teach her the ways on how to drive in Ghana. And, she knows. I was showing her, actually, it's funny, I was showing her a YouTube on Ghana, I couldn't recognize the place. She's like, well, that's Medina. That's that. I'm like, what? And then the narrator said, yeah, that's Medina. And I'm like,
totally different.
She knows the place more than I do.
That's classic.
You know, so she identifies as being Ghanaian.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times in a Ghanaian household, even if you're born outside of Ghana, you end up being Ghanaian because everything that's going on in the household is Ghanaian.
Yeah. No, it's you gotta love the melting pot aspect of it. She sounds like she's from the United States.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Great,
She, you know, she's you know, she is the new melting pot.
Yep.
Is a new melting pot, and there are several people like that you know, they actually would speak the language better than I do. You know, because the parents said, look, you're going to speak only Ashanti or only Ga at home.
Yeah.
And so you have somebody born in Germany, they speak German and Ashanti.
Now, so there's 20 or so tribes in Ghana. Do they get along? Or is it like each tribe sends one of their representatives to the government for Ghana? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a traditional council, and the traditional council is pretty much made up of most of the paramount chiefs and the kings of different tribes. But one thing I would say, the question you asked me is if they fight each other. Ghana is a very peaceful country.
Yeah.
We haven't had a civil war, knock on wood, ever.
Yeah.
You know, we've had transitions of government smoothly.
Yeah.
You know, since 1992.
Yeah.
It's a very peaceful country.
Which is surprising because you look at a place like Afghanistan, which is basically a failed state.
Yes.
And that's because the warlords can't stand each other.
Right.
And then they only get together to get rid of the power that's trying to come in. And as soon as they're gone, it goes right back to, you know, you look at a place like that and you're basically watching what it was like 1,000 years ago.
Right.
But that's not the case.
No. I mean, one thing I'll say about Ghana is a civilized society. We're a peaceful society. There's a lot of pride in nationalism. And there's a lot of pride in the Ghanaian personality. And so there are certain things that the nation as a whole would not allow to occur in the country.
Yeah.
And one of those things is peace. If there is any threat to the peace of the state, the authorities take it very, very seriously. And so, knock on wood, you know, are there little fights and little conflicts and little arguments? Yes, there are. But big, you know, wars that would, you know, kill people and create an unstable society is very much frowned upon. You know, when you walk on the streets in Ghana, you know, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's expected of you.
Yeah. That's there's obviously some level of this because I read about this, and that is a lot of the right around Ghana are going through some serious shit right now, and it's amazing to hear that Ghana is kind of right in the vicinity of all that sort of stuff that's going on, but it's never has it spilled over into the borders? No.
Again, being the most educative administrative class in Africa for a long time, it's been it's something educate and all these things really go back to education, because when you have a society that's educated, then the leaders are able to curb certain mindsets. No, it's not perfect, but I think that because of the education of the administrative class, we are able to maintain peace in the country. Yes, you know, Togo, Burkina Faso, Benin, I mean, you know, and we also help other African countries as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's again, I'm not saying we have the perfect country, but I think that for the most part, for all the things that a country like that has been through, you're right. There's never been a civil war. There's no like massive genocides and things like that.
How big is what's the population?
Ghana is around, I would say about 20 to 30 million
it is.
people here.
Okay.
Now, when I left, I think it was 8 million in 1992.
Really?
It's almost doubled, which is why you see they say Africa is the future.
Yeah.
Because majority of that population is between 18 and 40.
Yeah. And then you look at places like Japan who have a negative birth rate, and we're quickly getting there ourselves with the United States. So it's that's fascinating, and that's it's I kind of understand the big picture historical events that kind of made West Africa what it is, but it's I love getting the boots on the ground.
Absolutely,
because nobody talks about that sort of thing.
No, and that's and that is why I was mentioning that guy with Maya, and obviously he's not the only one, but there are other several YouTubers that are doing the same thing, because for a long time and until today, you can't get a narrative on Africa that is positive in America or even in the UK. Like, where do you go when you turn on the channel? Unless you go seeking for it, you're not going to find it. But again, I understand is when you're a superpower, you have more important things to worry about than to promote a continent like Africa. You understand?
Except when the Chinese start pouring all over it to get the natural resources.
Yes, that's a huge problem right now.
Are you seeing that in
Ghana? 100%.
Really?
They are mining gold. They're going to the gold mines illegally.
Oh, really?
Paying off government officials and going into the gold mines. They call it galamsey, which is basically illegal mining.
Wow.
And they are going in and just they are just,
that's unbelievable.
Yes, they're ruthless, man.
And what's the general population think of that?
Oh, it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
But
I mean, are they pissed? Are they like, get the Chinese out of here, but there's not much we can do type of thing? Where's the mindset for that?
Right. Again, so it's not all Chinese people that are doing that.
Yeah.
But the effects of illegal mining just goes deep, because what happens now is you have rivers that are being contaminated.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then it affects the environment, it affects the tourism, it affects everything. So on that aspect, I mean, if you want to illegally mine because you paid somebody else, fine. But when they come in, they bring their own people. Right.
Yeah, they don't hire the locals.
Right. The locals, there might be a few locals, but most of them are bringing in their own people.
Yeah.
They are doing this illegal stuff. They are messing up the environment. So the general population frowns upon that. But it's, again, such a peaceful country. We're not of the mindset of, okay, get every Chinese person out of here.
Right.
But if you catch somebody that is doing something that is illegal, they have to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of the population, that's the mindset, either you come in, do it rightfully, hire Ghanaians to do the work so that the country can benefit, or, do it legally.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I think it's more about those isolated and specific instances where these people are coming in and they are doing bad things, and they need to be isolated. And
all right. So when you go back there to do the missionary work, you said you got family back there, friends back there. What do you have any of your family members? Are they currently in the political arena right now, or that are kind of helping to navigate where Ghana's going in the future?
Some of my cousins, I have a cousin who works for the Attorney General. I have several Bannerman. We tend to be very industrious and private, more so than politically inclined these days.
Yep.
So even though they are not directly involved in the government. A lot of them are doing their own things that are helping to, move the country forward.
Well, and quite frankly, my personal opinion is the government is not the best person to be doing that.
Absolutely.
That's here as well.
I believe with you. I believe in private enterprise.
Yep.
And so I think that that's the future. And I also think that, for us growing up, most of our, your uncles and aunties were in private industries, and they did their thing privately, but still impacted the country. So
what are you doing? What's your mission work? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Right. So, sorry, I'm on the board of a nonprofit called yeloto.org, and Yeloto is involved in health, education, and nutrition of children that are less fortunate in entire Africa. And the founder of Yeloto,
spell that real quick.
YELOTO.
Yeloto.org.
.org, yes.
.org, okay.
So Yeloto is founded by a Nigerian colleague of mine that I met during medical school.
Okay.
And Yeloto, I think it's Yemi, Loli. Those are initials of his kids' names.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Nice.
And so I got involved with it because he said, he had called me out of the blue and said, look, I want to go to Ghana and do some mission work. And I don't know anybody to talk to. You're the only person I know. I said, well, good. So he told me about it. I said, I'm going to be involved. I didn't, I always thought of starting my own thing, but why start your own thing when you could partner up with somebody?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I went with him. We went to the orphanage. We reach out to orphanages. We ask the principal of the orphanage what they need. What are the things that they need? Computers, school, stationery. And this is our own money. So we have about 5 or 6 professionals that are doctors and pharmacists, and we pool our money together.
Okay.
And we pay our own way. And so we go to the orphanage. We throw a party. It's usually during Christmas, so we throw a Christmas party. After that, we donate the items to them. Then we go to the hospitals. And in Ghana and most of these African countries, when you go to the hospital and you don't have money to pay for your bill, they hold you in the hospital. They hold you hostage.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so you have lots of babies. So we are interested in babies. So we go to the hospital and we say, look, we have a budget for $6,000 or $5,000, which goes a long way.
Yeah.
Long way. And then we go to the head of pediatrics and neonatology.
Yep.
And we meet with them, we talk with them, and then they identify people that I need. And essentially we pay for all their bills. And then then we end up going to the radio station, talking about the work that we do. It's usually 4 or 5 days, and then we are out.
Is there any plan to open that up to private donations? Like
donors?
Is that set up on the, so if somebody
it's a 501c.
Okay, so if somebody wants to go onto that website,
right.
What is it again?
Yeloto.org.
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 Okay, so people can go there, and if they want to participate and be a part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice.
I actually, in 2018, when I went to Ghana, I brought 3 doctors with me who were interested in helping. And the reason why I wanted to be part of this is, it's not I have to go work as an emergency physician, but it's actually using stuff that I've earned to help people, which is a win-win situation, So the mothers are very, very grateful, and selfishly it feels good.
Yeah.
Selfishly feels good. So in December, we are planning to go to Rwanda.
Really?
And do the same thing. As you know, Rwanda is one of the cleanest cities in the world. Kigali.
Huh, okay.
One of the cleanest cities in the world.
I did not know that.
Yes. So we plan to go to Rwanda in December from 8th to the 12th.
I may have to do one of these with you, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, December is far out where if you wanted to join us, absolutely, you're welcome. 100 always welcome.
Interesting. No, stuff. I mean, it would, other than, obviously you're doing great things, it would be fascinating to see that part of the world.
Look, again, because of COVID and what happened with COVID, most of the population and most of the world have realized that we are living now. You don't know what's going to happen. I lost a bunch of people during COVID. And so if you want to do something, just do it. Nike. Just do it.
I love it. I love it. So, all right, getting back to when you go over there, everybody knows, obviously, you're coming from the United States. I've always heard this. I've never really kind of understood it, if it's even a thing. But do the Africans look at the African Americans when they come over to try to help? Do they look at that skeptically, or are they welcoming of that?
Right. So you hit right on the nail. You got to watch Wodemaya. You got to go on YouTube, Wodemaya, Wodemaya.
Okay.
He is very instrumental in bridging the gap between the diaspora, and not just African Americans, but Africans like me that have been in the United States for almost 27 years. Right? Coming back home. But the narrative right now is bridging the gap. That's the narrative. Back then, there was a little bit of friction. Oh, you sold us. Africans are looking at African Americans like you guys are lazy. African Americans are looking at Africans like we can't trust you. Okay. But once you get down to the foundation, you realize these are one people. And in order for the continent to move and progress, we got to work as one people. So yes, back in the day, and there might be, and the that was, understand what I'm saying, right? And the narrative that most people are, when you're in Ghana, for instance, when you're in Ghana, all you see on TV is ghettos, Black Americans and ghettos, and
oh, really?
I mean, even if you see it, right?
So like CNN, or is it not even CNN?
Right,
just,
CNN. You're not gonna see good African Americans doing stuff.
Really?
Very rare.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Very, very rare. Right. And then the same thing here in America. If you're Black and you go on TV and you're watching, the only thing you know about Africa is people are starving. You got babies with big bellies that are hungry.
No, that's
they're not going to show you a guy like me who came here, who's a doctor, who's going back and doing missions, or they're not going to show you a guy who's. And
I'm not going to call him out too badly, but he drove up at a pretty sick ride.
Okay.
So anyway, continue, doctor.
One of my vices is, nice cars. I can't help it. But I'm just saying that, which is why this guy that I mentioned this guy's name, because the narrative that he's putting out there is promoting the continent. And it's amazing when you watch how many people have moved from the West. And
what is that number? Is it millions? Is it 100,000? Is it growing?
It's growing.
Is it really?
It's growing. I can't quantify it. I'm not.
Why? Because it's classified.
No. I just don't know. The information I'm getting is from YouTube. I haven't really gone to the government to say, can I see how many people have repatriated back? But anytime you look at YouTube, it's funny because my wife is like, dude, why are you always watching Ghana? Are you planning to live us and move over there? I'm like, nah, man. I just there's nothing.
But you go back enough, you might as well know what the hell's going on.
Right. And there's nothing else going on TV. You turn on TV, there's nothing going. They're giving you reruns, or you're watching Fox or CNN, which is totally like bipolar. I'm just like,
I love it.
Yeah. So I just watch positive narratives. This is like almost it's a secret, but when I moved to the United States, I didn't want anything to do with medicine because of my family history of and medicine. There's so many Dr. Bannermans, and they've done so many great things. I was like, I'm just going to be another freaking Dr. Bannerman. So actually, I was thinking of going back and running as president.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is how much I love the country.
Wait, like
this is when I came and I was in college.
Really?
Yes, so I took the history of
President Bannerman.
Yes, President Bannerman, exactly. And I came to my senses and realized, well, this is not a great idea.
Amen. But the fact is that you're still Ghanaian at heart. Ghanaian at heart. Yeah. And I'm never gonna knock America down, because America has created a life for me that, you know what, if I hadn't come to America, I'm not sure I would have this life. Yeah. So America, special place in my heart, but home is home. Yeah. Yeah.
Home is home.
And can both of those things exist over in Ghana? What I mean by that is, can Ghanaians who have been educated in the West, have lived over here, who knows what it's like to live in a free, amazing society, can they bring that, and can that be transposed to Ghana?
110%.
Really?
My uncle, who's also a very well-known neurologist, Dr. Alfred Bannerman, you should look him up. In 1950, he's 80 years old, actually. And when I went to Ghana in March, I was hanging out with him and all his friends that
in Ghana.
Yes, were ambassadors and really prominent guys, all in their 80s, drinking whiskey, Remy. We're hanging out. They always hang out every Wednesday at this one spot. And he invited me. And, because my dad died when I was very young, and a lot of these uncles were almost like paternal and role models. Yep. And it's funny, he worked in New York for many, 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 many years.
Okay.
And I remember I was training in New York, and one of the patients like, Dr. Bannerman, you guys look alike, But so yeah, it's my uncle. But the bottom line is, he lived in New York. He was a prominent neurologist, and he went back to Ghana. He built a magnificent house in the hills of Ghana. Yeah. He lives there with his wife, and he's having a great time in his 80s. Yeah. Okay. If you look him up, Alfred Bannerman, he's in 1957. 56,
right around the time of the independence.
He was one of several students from the entire developing world to come to United States and talk about race relations.
Really? Oh, very cool.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. Get into that a little bit.
Well, if you Google him, his name is Alfred Nini Bannerman, and I told you, our family, we had a lot of educated people because we traveled to the States and United Kingdom. But he won I guess you had to write an essay at the time, and he won from the entire country. He won, and they flew him to, in those days, wait, did he fly or take a ship? I don't know. But anyway, he ended up in the United States, where he got interviewed amongst somebody from Philippines, Nigeria, and they talked about race relations for a few, he won a few times. And so if you go online and you look up Dr. Alfred Bannerman, you're going to see those interviews. And he was talking about race issues, and the stuff he talked about in 1956 is still relevant today.
Really?
Man. So it's just to say that for a guy like that who grew up in the 50s, went to Germany, did medical school in Germany, worked in the United States for many decades, retired back home in Ghana in a magnificent home, and is living the best life. So yes.
Very cool.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's that was one of the reasons why. And of course, when it's the four of us with our wives around the table, that's not the time to get into it. Although I would love to. No, that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this stuff, because it's fascinating. And and you can pick anywhere on earth, and it's what you get on television is nothing.
It's a snippet.
Yeah, it's a snippet.
It's a snippet.
And it's usually incorrect. or with
Absolutely.
a narrative behind it.
Absolutely. An
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah.
I went to an example of what you're saying is when I visited Israel. They say the Gaza Strip and there's fighting, and I got to Tel Aviv, and I'm like, I don't see anybody fighting. Everybody's minding their business, having a great time.
Yeah.
Food is great. I went to Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip is a wall. It's one wall where all the fighting happens. But here, when they have the fighting, they show you that, and you're like, oh my God, the country is fighting, but it's the same everywhere. You get a snippet, which is why I like traveling, because when you travel, you are learning by experience. And that's the best way to learn.
All right, so let's so give me that your nonprofit again. What's the email?
So the
the website.
The nonprofit is Yeloto, YELOTO, yeloto.org. It's 501c.
And people, if they want to, can go on there. They can donate funds. They can help out.
If you want to join us on the journey, yes, there are contacts there. You can reach them, and we can all go to Africa and make a difference in some people's lives.
Very cool. It's cool. There's a couple of professional football players now that are from Africa, and they talk about going back. And I think one of them, I think his mother still lives over there. So it's, but he's going back, and he's obviously bringing the press with him to show what's going on over there.
I tell you, Brian, there's nothing more satisfying, selfishly, going back to a place where you're from and being able to make a difference, which, a lot of things we take for granted, but you'll be surprised how far your money would go if you went and you wanted to make a big difference, So again, I always say it's selfish, but I'm not taking that for granted. The fact that I'm able to do something like that, it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
In your view, what is Ghana look like in 10 years?
Oh my God. In 10 years, those that haven't been to Ghana would not recognize Ghana. Not only physically, but just the mindset of people, the industrialization, the digitization, the real estate, the economy. Brian, I go to Ghana. I used to go to Ghana every year. I don't go for 2 years. There are places that I don't recognize anymore. Roads have changed
that fast. Yeah.
There's rapid development.
Yeah. And is that, excuse me for interrupting, is that internal stuff, or is that international kind of aid coming in to help out? What is it? Are the Ghanaians starting to take over that in terms of directing their future?
It's both.
Okay.
There's both international money coming in. For instance, I think $1.2 billion of remittances from family members went into Ghana, I think last year.
So family members that live outside of Ghana, that money, they were bringing money back. Wow.
Yes.
1.2 billion?
Yes.
Jesus.
Right. Okay. So, and, like I said before, we are such an educated administrative class. So if you went to a lot of the professional schools, the doctors, medical schools and law schools and business schools, there's always a Ghanaian in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I think at one point in time, I think we were number 2 in terms of immigrants and how successful we were.
Really?
In the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. So the point I'm making is, in 10 years, if you're not visiting Ghana, you're going to miss out on the development, and you will not recognize your home. It'll be unfortunate that somebody else will be selling you something for an enormous amount of price because you didn't catch the wave when it's developing so rapidly. The roads, the trains, and anytime a country is developing, it's an opportunity for business and private enterprise. And
which
so,
is where you and your family come in, the capitalists in that.
Yeah. I mean, you look, I like to say I want to be called a socially responsible capitalist, you know.
Hey, brother.
And so, and nothing big, you know. I try to get finish my home, try to get a couple of apartments I can rent, and mostly to try to help the kids out in terms of generational legacy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not in a few years, you know, 8, 10 years, maybe 15 years, I want to be able to sit in Ghana and be like, Brian, just come and let's hang out. And I don't want to be working. I just want to be relaxing and entertaining folks like you to explore the country.
Yeah.
That's where I want to be, you know, but I want to be, you know, enjoying that aspect.
Yeah.
You know?
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. So to round it out, what, for the people out there that are just learning about it like me,
yes,
give me sort of what when you pitch Ghana, what are you telling people?
Ghana is one of the peaceful countries in Africa, number one. Number two is the gateway to Africa. Number three, we speak English, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Number four, there are lots of opportunities, investment opportunities. If, you know, there was a guy I was watching on YouTube who came from England, who was well-to-do IT engineer, and he came to Ghana and built a 60-room hostel in the Ashanti region.
Yep.
He's 26 years old.
That's awesome.
That's impossible to achieve in the Western world.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, loans and all, you know what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make is, as long as you have an open, I'm not saying that the country is perfect, but as long as you do have patience or even partner up with a Ghanaian down there. So even if you don't want to move down there, if you partner up with somebody down there, you could be anywhere you are making some money, having a place where you could go and have a vacation. And then the beaches are beautiful. We have beautiful beaches, man.
Nice.
You know, so overall, a great country. It's open to the world, very peaceful. Come and we'll have a great time.
I love it. All right, real quick, I want to something. And I'm hoping. Yeah. So when we were in South Africa several years ago, we went to like the I forgot what they call them, the townships or the ghettos, basically.
Yeah,
Soweto.
Soweto, yeah.
And so from Cape Town, they bust us in because one of the families in the middle of this Soweto, if I'm pronouncing that correctly,
yeah,
had opened basically a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so they would bus tourists in to have dinner there. And it was awesome.
Absolutely.
It was awesome because okay. Sorry, folks. My dogs stay in the studio when I'm recording, and I apologize about that.
Yeah.
What was amazing about that was that's the shit that everyone says. That's what makes it horrible. That's crazy over there. And then there was this right in the middle of it. There's this family, this woman in particular, just trying to make it happen. And she hired locals to help park the cars and all this stuff. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
Is that stuff happening in Ghana as well?
100%.
Yeah.
When you have a developing country, what you realize is that entrepreneurship, even though at baseline, being an entrepreneur is being creative, but your creativity is moved up 100 notches up because you're getting labor for cheap. Yeah. And so things that you would not be able to afford to do here, you're able to do over there. And I mean, there's so many places I like to take my kids to in Ghana. We haven't explored so much. I mean, we've been to several places, but there's so much to do just within Ghana itself. Yeah. And that would be my dream, to just, explore the country. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So
2 points in that, what you just were saying. One is human beings, regardless of what color they are, how big, tall, small they are, that entrepreneurial gene will come out eventually.
Absolutely.
And regardless of what people think about the United States, I think this is the perfect place to do that. But when you see it happening in places where it's not as open as the United States, you're like, this is unfucking believable.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, the United States has been emulated all over the world.
Yeah.
But what is important is with that emulation, they've taken it to another level because again, when you're developing, you could be more creative.
And
when
you're
you
starting
have
from the ground floor too, so the sky's the limit.
Right. When you have a structure in place
Yeah.
and rules in place, you can't, you know, it's a structure.
Yeah.
But now when you don't really have a strong structure, you are the structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
and you make your destiny.
And you absolutely. So yeah, Ghana, come to Ghana and make your own destiny. That's a good way.
Boom. There you go. Last question is, so on a map, it looks like there's a ton of water, a lot of rivers, a lot of huge lakes. It looks like the whole center of the country is waterways. Is there like the typical African bush where you go out and you see the lions? And is there like, you don't go on safari in Ghana?
Yeah, Ghana. I mean, I'm sure. No, I mean, they are animals, not lions. That's on the east coast and the south coast of Africa.
Okay.
But we have a guy who is, I think his name is Cheddar. This is one of the wealthy guys. You know, he's I don't know if he's self-made, but he's wealthy. Yeah. He's rich. I don't know if he's wealthy. He's rich,
whether self or otherwise.
Right. But he recently caused some controversy because he's trying to explore the wildlife nature in Ghana and brought 2 lions or tigers. I'm not sure which it is.
Into the environment that they're not naturally.
So he brought them to Ghana, and basically he is trying to raise them and then open up a tourism for wildlife, which I think is genius. You know, the area people were saying
kind of a bizarre way.
Well, it's bizarre, but again, when you think of entrepreneurship, as long as it's done safely, it's all good.
I love it.
You know,
I love it. Hey, and by the way, Rwanda, I think that's the country where the gorillas are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
the black apes.
Yeah, I think
the black gorillas. Sorry.
I would really want to talk to you about going there and.
Well, we're talking about it now. What else you got to say? All you got to say is, are we going, Christian? Okay, we going.
Well, no,
let's buy tickets and let's go.
See, I have to negotiate with Christian about whether or not I'm getting a first class ticket on the plane.
All right, sweetheart. Me too. My sweetheart. I already told you it's 8 to the 12th, and there's no way I'm not going. You know how much I like Africa. You know how much I like helping people. So
I love it.
And Mimi, if you're listening to this, I would very much love for Brian to be there. That'll be great. I think in a few years, Yoloto is going to be doing something where spouses of most of the main guys will be able to come. So hopefully we can get everybody on board.
Well, what I'm thinking is we go do that in Rwanda, and then she comes over and we go and see the gorillas. So
that works out.
My friend, this is awesome.
I'm glad.
What do you think? How'd it go?
Hey, man, you know me, man. I like to flow.
I love it.
With the whiskey, with the juice. I call this brain juice.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking some serious. Africa is one of those things that nobody really understands in the United States. And so it's good to get boots on the ground perspective on what's going on over there. And I think it's awesome, man. So thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. I'll tell you one thing, you would fall in love. If you came to Ghana, you'd fall in love, 100%.
I'm assuming you're talking about the country and not.
You would fall in love with just the people.
Gotcha.
And the vibe.
Okay.
The vibe. It's.
I don't want to get myself in trouble.
No. We don't do that, man. We don't like trouble.
Exactly.
We are peaceful, nice people.
I love it.
Yeah. So, right. You know, I really appreciate you for granting me this interview. If you may permit, I had this that I usually wear, but because you granted me this interview, I'd like to present it to you. It's just a little bracelet that you could rock, you know. Maybe if you get you an African I'm not a bracelet, a chain, but you know, you could just rock it. So it might be. I wasn't sure if it was gonna fit you. I used to rock it, but at least something to show that you represented. You know, one day when I get you an African shirt, you'll be able to rock that, and hopefully you like it, man.
I love it, Christian. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Thank
man.
you. All right, guys. Christian Bannerman, Ghana, Africa, a modern perspective on a up and coming country. I love it, brother.
It's arrived.
Yeah, there you go. It has arrived. Awesome.
Yes.
Hey guys, it's the Rain Man. One last thing. If you're in the military, police departments, fire departments, or first responders, if that's you out there, stay safe. Thank you for your service. Christian Bannerman.
Yes, I want to second that. I work for the VA, and I also want to second that. Thank you for your service. Be safe out there. And I love you, kids, my wife, and I love you too, bro.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'll do.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, guys, it's the Rain Man. Thanks for watching.